Dungeons & Dragons is the perfect game. You might think I'm exaggerating, but I really mean it. The story is compelling, the combat is fun, the world is rich and vibrant, and all of your actions have consequences. But more than that, it's the people you play it with. Sitting in a room and playing a game with friends face to face is a different kind of multiplayer gaming. They're there with you to celebrate your victories, mourn your losses, and just spend a few hours having fun. The group that I play with every couple of weeks is made up of my fiancée Diana, one of my best mates Abel, another one of my best mates Harry, and Harry's girlfriend Sophie. Sophie's housemate Liv has also joined our game, but since she only started playing a week ago, this video is mainly going to focus on the rest of our group. We all love the game, so much so we actually commissioned an artwork of our characters for Harry's 21st birthday. But to learn exactly why everyone in our group loves D&D so much, I sat down with them and got them to explain why they play the game, who their characters are, and what exactly Dungeons & Dragons is.
Dungeons & Dragons is more or less a series of modules that allow the construction of a fantasy setting in which people can play a elaborate role-playing game.
Is it like a role-playing game where you pretend to be this character?
A couple people will get together and you'll have a dungeon master who will narrate a narrative almost for you.
You get together with friends or I suppose even strangers, I suppose, and you act out a character using dice to kind of guide you in which way you go and what you do and how you interact with people.
It's just having fun with other characters and fighting and getting stuff done, getting quests done, and then there's the dungeon master who makes sure that everything's running smoothly.
And you just sort of get to play out a narrative and sort of explore and create a story yourself on the fly, which is really fun.
I am an ASMR called Raziel, who's also a cleric.
So I am the DM for a couple of groups. So I control the world and I provide the framework for the story.
I play Aus Silverfeather, whereas Aus, or any Aarakocra would say Aus.
So I am the Dragonborn. I can't give you too much information because
she loves animals. She loves hoarding gold and stuff.
I have created the continent. I have facilitated the systems which are in the D&D manuals and modules, and created a setting and create scenarios which my players can then go about in whatever way they want to.
He's a priest from a temple out in the mountains where he has lived most of his life in worship to Horus. He's God.
Cool wings, cool armor, very tall.
It's providing a variety of pathways and kind of just a sandbox of what they can do, whilst also trying to construct a variety of storylines and give the overall give the group themselves an actual purpose.
He's just sort of adventuring. He's quite a stubborn person, I'd say, but very intelligent, sort of has a slow way of talking, and yeah, he's a fun character to play. I don't know, I didn't realise I would have so much fun playing him, and he's got I don't know, it's enjoyable to roleplay him as well, just using his voice and all that. It's great.
I should probably also mention at this point that my character is the centaur fighter Fabius. Dumb as mud, but pretty likeable. Anyway, back to the interviews.
I play it because, especially as DM, I love being able to create a variety of things. D&D allows me to be as creative as I want.
It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of things that you can do that you can't really do in real life. For example, own a dragon. Like, how cool would that be? It can pretend to be this completely different person from yourself.
Like, I love history and being able to implement that into creation. And also just the limitless boundaries of that is something that I can make things that are as complex or simple as I want and be able to share them with people in a fun and creative way.
I just sort of play it because it's exciting. Anything can really happen. I get to, it's almost like an acting experience where you get to sort of play all these characters on the fly and come up with stuff, and I just really enjoy it now. Yeah.
So it's not just me writing down a book of just random fantasy things that I think of or imagine. It's actually implementing them in a fun, episodic way.
It's just fun to play with, and it's like a great way to like interact with friends, and yeah, lifelong friends can like come out of Dungeons and Dragons, I think. Yeah.
I mean, it's fun. It's fun. I think it's a good way to kind of escape from news and social media and come down into a den and and just actually like interact with other people for a little while.
You really get to use your imagination. You have, I mean, compared to most other games, books less so, but compared to other games, I reckon you have a much bigger say in what happens.
If for something like Skyrim, you go into it with combat, you either succeed or you die. If you die, generally, you just do it again, and you do it again until you succeed. But in D&D, if you die, you're in trouble, you're dead, your character is gone, and you're gonna have to start somewhere else.
In Dungeons and Dragons, you're like involved completely, but you still can't see everything. You have to imagine it.
I mean, it's real. It's you doing it and your decisions and interacting with other people.
And allowing for such a variety of ways, and having that aspect of chance with dice rolls makes it that nice little imitation of reality, of everything has consequence, but you can be as prepared as you want and things can still go wrong. So it's a constant adaptation. You can learn the system, but you can never learn every option. You can never learn every outcome.
But you have a lot of freedom to do what you want, and yeah, it's really enjoyable that way, knowing that you can do anything.
I mean, I suppose it's completely unlimited.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want to do within reason, sort of. Yeah.
If you've never played D&D before, you might think that the idea that you can do anything is a bit of an exaggeration, but it isn't. If you can think of it, you can do it, which is partly what makes the game so good. It's also one of its biggest challenges. In our game, the unlimited choice of D&D led to one particular incident which derailed our entire story, nearly had our characters executed, and almost brought one of our players to tears.
Do you remember the incident in the tavern with us trying to leave the gold for the barkeep?
I absolutely remember the incident at the tavern.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Yes, I do.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I remember that. Remember that incident? Yeah, it was. It's pretty fresh on the mind.
Can you recount that incident in your own words?
So, after a night of, after an evening mishap in which the players picked one tavern out of 12 in town, and it happened to be full of rather nasty people who had somewhat of an issue with one of the players.
We had just spent the night, we just killed a whole lot of guards.
They were facing severe criminal charges. But the owner of said tavern took pity on them and allowed them to shelter there for the night under the promise that they would leave in the morning.
And so we were just leaving the next morning, but he wasn't there. I think we were leaving quite early to kind of escape the guards. And I think Alice wanted to leave a couple of coins behind to say thank you.
Alice was being kind and left a little bit of money there. Not expecting that other people in the party were going to try and hinder that.
Once that money was out of hand, another player decided to swipe it.
And Raziel was like, oh, 2 gold coins, and like decided to take them. And I rolled really bad in dexterity, and Alice obviously saw it.
I think Raziel took all of the coins to begin with, and there was a little bit of an altercation, and Alice, I think, made her put them back.
They basically were told to hand over the money to the other player. And as that player then put again down the money, a different player came in and also stole it.
I think I took half of them because I was like, yeah, that's fair, that's nice, usually nice, but also I'm gonna steal.
The Dragonborn was like, oh, I want to steal it again. So she tried to steal it, but she also rolled really low in dexterity, which is surprising because she's like excellent in dexterity.
Alice wasn't very happy about that. Neither was Abel. He was a bit frustrated with that, but Alice definitely didn't like that.
At that time, I wasn't aware, like as a person, I wasn't aware that Alice was a prideful, like a prideful character. I just didn't realize.
But I didn't own up to it, I don't think. And so Raziel and Alice got into another altercation.
This escalated into an argument, and when a spell was cast, it effectively gave the tipping player a reason to be able to act aggressively.
Raziel, as a joke, was like, put a command spell on him to close his eyes.
Well, I think actually Raziel started the spell fight with a spell, and then Alice just, pushed a little more with a classic heat metal spell that left Raziel a bit burnt.
He cast a spell which did a lot of damage to the other player in the middle of public, and when confronted by the local law enforcement whilst resisting arrest, he then did enough damage to that player to knock them unconscious.
It just all went from chaos from there. Like, it was just a lot of lying and then a lot of deceit, and then we got into trouble. And yeah.
Ended up with us all being arrested.
Transported back through the town, they were promptly put in prison. One for attempted murder, and the others for attempting to misguide the local law enforcement and resisting arrest.
It's a sore spot for Alice. He wouldn't like to talk about it.
We lost 400 gold that day. 400 gold.
It was frustrating to see that one person had taken into account the surroundings and others had not.
I was pretty frustrated about it. Like, yeah, I think Alice sort of reflected my my attitude towards it, but yeah, it was a bit annoying.
I was annoyed because I didn't really feel like it was in Raziel's character to steal.
I felt really bad. I was like anxious. I was like, oh crap, I just did the worst thing that I could ever do. I wasn't aware of it. I was about to cry as well. It was a horrible, like, I was like, oh no, I just wanted to like joke and like, yeah.
Alice made a bigger deal out of it than he needed to. And he full on like attacked her in public. I feel like that just wasn't very smart at all. It meant that we all got arrested and we all had to go out on a like completely different. I liked the route, I liked the caravans, I was good to go. And then we had to like swing all the way around and go off and fight some witches, which was actually really hard.
Maybe I should have been more aware of like what was happening, and then I kind of had to play it off as Raziel being the bitch rather than, yeah.
Both characters brought out something that they hadn't really told me, or hadn't told me the extent of which. In one case was one person thought there would be a lot of stealing, which caught me somewhat off guard. And the other character, that he was honourable to the point in which even when captured by local law enforcement, he would knock a person out in the streets who had stolen the equivalent of about $10.
I felt really bad because then Harry had to like do something, like do a massive turning point in the plot. Yeah, I kind of felt for Harry, yeah.
It wasn't too much away from the story. I was thinking about it and trying to allow for it if possible. But it was frustrating to have to do that so early, and to it was, I think, quite a stark reminder that none of the players really had, or certainly not all of them had, a sense of we are playing together, which was interesting because they'd already gone through quite a lot before that point. And it took quite a few sessions for those wounds to heal up as well, which was interesting.
So I wasn't too thrilled.
So yeah, I was a bit frustrated, but I mean, like, it's a game, and you just gotta remember that it's a game. I think it's hilarious right now. I mean, looking at the time I was frustrated, but now it's just like, you know.
Now it's quite funny.
A bit better. Yeah. I don't know, like, still feel really bad for doing that because Harry prepared so much.
At the same time, it provided some beautiful character moments, and we've built off that wonderfully. And we ended up doing going on a different path, which I had kind of prepared. Ended up going down a different path, which allowed for different kind of relations and built up quite a bit more intrigue, I think, than the original one did.
That was a big turning point in our campaign, really. I mean, it changed a lot. And it sort of helped us all come back to that sort of moment of being like, all right, well, why are we all together? What are we all doing here? Because I'm ready to walk away.
I'm alright with this path that we're on now. Like, it's interesting. The witches, that was like, it was hard, but I'm glad we did that. That was good. So yeah, now it's just quite funny.
I wish I wasn't joking that much. I wish I wasn't like being a jokester about it. I wish I took it more seriously. As in, I wish Raziel would have taken it more seriously. I thought it was like a bit of banter, but then it kind of just turned bad, and then yeah.
No, I don't think so. I think I'm pretty fine with the way it went. I feel like it kind of made us all as a group kind of realise some hard truths, that we can't just attack each other in public, and there are going to be some actual consequences for what we do.
Yeah, I mean, there was a little bit of confusion around what was happening at the time. I thought we were inside the tavern when it all happened. We were actually outside the tavern, hence why the lamplighters knocked us unconscious and took us off to the dungeon. That's not what I was expecting to happen. I would have liked it if it had gone on indoors rather than out in public, but, you know, different views on how things are happening and a little bit of miscommunication is all part of Dungeons and Dragons.
I know that Harry wasn't very impressed.
So I think it was ended up well for the better, and all of them learnt rather roughly that there are consequences to those sorts of actions. So it was a steep learning curve, but one they would have had to go through all the same.
And that's just another one of the reasons why D&D is just so good. Everything can go wrong, upsetting players and characters alike, but in the end, things are okay. You learn from your mistakes and keep going. It's not like other video games, where the decisions you make lead to either success or failure. In D&D, the actions of your character build upon themselves, creating a history, a personality, a sense of being. Though nothing to do with video, Dungeons & Dragons fulfills everything video games try to achieve, and then some. Adventure, combat, exploration, role-playing, or just pure fun. Anything and everything you could want in a video game, you can do in D&D. Hell, you could even play D&D within D&D. Like I mentioned at the beginning, for reasons that are different for everyone who plays, Dungeons & Dragons is the perfect game. So when I asked my group if they would recommend D&D, it's no wonder they said,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, of course.
I'd absolutely recommend it, completely and totally.
Yeah, I reckon it's a great game to just play in general, but I think it also kind of teaches you a bunch of life skills, I think.
I don't have reasons why not, simply because if you find a DM who is willing to facilitate the kind of game you'd like, it appeals to any type of gamer. If you want to just do monster hunting, you can. If you want to do political, you can. If you want to be creative, you can.
I don't remember what it taught me life skills in, but I remember there was one time where I was like, here's Dungeons & Dragons method, and it worked, and I was like, oh, cool.
I would really recommend it for young people as well. I would really like it to be used in schools even, just as a way to problem solve and, even practicing different social skills like confrontation and there's heaps.
It's teamwork, and it's really good.
You can do kind of anything with it if you have a particular, even just like real time that you're interested in. You can go back there and you can learn about that.
It really helps with just learning how to deal with something that's right in front of you in a completely different way that I don't think school handles typically.
So I think in that way it caters for everybody, and because of that, I don't see how anybody couldn't find a group or find a DM that would suit their wants and needs.
The other side of it is that it's a great way just to hang out with people and catch up with your friends over doing something really fun that you all enjoy, and then you get to talk about it for ages afterwards outside of the game, just talking about how different things work and all that, and it's just such an enjoyable thing.
if you're going to take anything away from this video, let it be that Dungeons & Dragons is worth your time. The perfect game exists, and it's sitting there, waiting for you to play it.
Out of his control and begins to spin as the side of the ship just kind of shifts across and begins to grind against and almost lift from the water. As the wind from the ship's momentum eases, I'd like you all to make a Constitution saving throw.
I told him we had more pressing matters
With
at hand.
disadvantage on the crow's nest.
One!